This election season, the Kayla Evans Show on Bowie TV brings you up close and personal with Prince George's County executive candidates. It's more than politics, we're diving into their stories, passions, and visions for our community. Tune in daily on Bowie TV local channels and YouTube, and on the Kayla Evans Show YouTube channel. The special election is March 4th. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Kayla Evans Show. This platform is uniquely designed to educate and empower individuals of all walks of life as we converse with experts of various industries. These intellectual conversations are designed to inspire and uplift members of our culture and society, collectively gaining knowledge and information dedicated to our human experience. Let's get into it. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Kayla Evans Show on Bowie TV. This special edition is part of our Prince George's County Executive Leadership Forum series, where we're engaging directly with the candidates vying to lead our county into the future. Our goal here is to go beyond politics and focus on leadership, vision, and real impact on our community. Today, we're honored to continue this series with our special guest, Prince George's County State's Attorney, Aisha Braveboy. As the county's top prosecutor, she has been at the forefront of our criminal justice reform, public safety, and community advocacy. Now she's looking to take on an even greater leadership role as she campaigns for our county executive. In this conversation, we'll explore her vision for Prince George's County, her strategies for tackling key challenges, and what leadership means to her beyond politics. We'll discuss her approach to governance, public safety, education, and how she plans to ensure that every resident, from the most underserved to the most empowered, has a voice in shaping the future of our community. State's Attorney Braveboy, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Kayla, for having me.
Absolutely. So I just want to jump right in. We have a limited amount of time. I want the people to understand who you are and how you are planning to shape what Prince George's County looks like here in the future.
Sure.
Many people hear the title of county executive, but may not really fully understand what that means. From your perspective, how do you define what the role of county executive actually is?
You know, the county executive is the chief executive officer, essentially, of the county. That individual is responsible for making decisions, setting the direction, the vision of the county, and executing on that vision. The county executive, the job is one of collaboration because you have so many stakeholders, including the community, but also other elected officials, individuals at the municipal level, the county level, the state level, and the federal level that you deal with to get resources and development and services to the residents here in Prince George's County. So it is a dynamic role and one that is extremely important.
Absolutely. And as we understand what that role looks like, we kind of look backwards before we look forwards, understanding that you served as our state delegate, you've served now as our state's attorney, and now you're pushing forward and gunning for this new role as Prince George's County executive. As you maneuver through, why at this particular time? Why go for this role now after your illustrious career and all that you've done? Why is now a good time?
Well, let me just say, I have loved every single job I've done here in the county, whether it's in the public sector or in the private sector. And I've made a difference everywhere I've been. And that has been really meaningful to me because my goal always is to leave a place better than I found it. And what I see in my role as state's attorney is where government has not actually met the needs of people. And unfortunately, sometimes those individuals end up in the criminal justice system. That's not to say that people aren't responsible for their own decisions. But what it means is that if we give people greater hope, greater opportunities, that they're going to be less likely to make those bad decisions. And so, whether it's like our children who are not attending school, so enforcing our truancy laws so that our children are getting a real education. Um, and in fact, making sure that our educational system is meeting the needs of our young people, meaning let's do early assessments of where our children are in terms of the learning process so that we can provide interventions much earlier to help them stay at or above grade level. And I say above because some of our kids are super achievers, but they may not be taught in the way that is best for them. But if we figure that out early, we really give our children the best opportunity to achieve uh, where they really can achieve. And some of them who even might have, whether they have learning disabilities or, other challenges, they may actually be genius. They may be geniuses, but we're not getting that out of them because they're not able to learn in the way that they're being taught. And so they fall behind. They may be disruptive. But if you talk to them, sometimes you talk to folks who are disruptive and you realize, wow, they have a lot of thoughts in their head. They're really smart. And you're like, why don't you just apply this to school? But now we got to figure out how to meet them where they are and get them there. So I just feel like all of our kids have the ability to achieve their wildest dreams, right? And it is our job as the adults to help them get there. Also, when I look at what we see in the criminal justice system, which is a lot of people with substance abuse or mental health issues.
Yeah.
And so what we do know is that we don't have a robust mental health and substance abuse network here in the county. So we have to grow that to ensure that everyone has access to assist them in addressing real concerns, just like we would if they were dealing with a physical health issue. Mental health is real. And so we have to make sure that we provide parity and access.
Absolutely. And I hear and in understanding who you are and what your role has looked like in shaping that framework within the criminal justice system. We also need to assess what the particular needs are of the families that will be serviced within the county.
Yes.
So, and in your role currently, in the past, and how would you plan to reach out to those community members and connect with them directly to understand, like, what are your needs? How can I service you best? Aside from an email or seeing you at a forum, right? We see a lot of that. How will you really connect with your constituents to see what their needs are for service?
I think we have to, be just as interested in connecting with people and messaging to them during election season as we are every other time of the year. And so using these same platforms, talking to folks like you, Kayla, I mean, you have a network that needs to hear from me, and so I need to come to your show. So you using social media, using direct contact with residents, whether it's through text messaging or phone banking, calling. I'll be on your YouTube too, right?
Right.
Because the messages need to get to people where they are. So right now we're asking people to vote for us. So we're creating these wonderful videos and we're asking people to consider us. Well, when I am the county executive, I want people to know the services of government, of our health department, of our social services department, of our family services department. The best way to do it is what we're doing now. We know it works. So we don't want to hide the resources and services of government. We want to be able to give it to people where they are.
Absolutely. And that's what we need. And using this platform is a fantastic way for us to do that for sure. I want to pivot just a little bit. We understanding now who the role of county executive is. We understand a lot about what your previous roles have looked like in government. But I want to tap more into who you are as an individual. Like, who is Miss Aisha Braveboy? Aside from the title, like what personal experiences and values shape your leadership to tie us into this community? I want to hear more about you as the individual.
Well, I think understanding me would be really understanding where I came from. And I came from two just amazing parents. Cuthbert Braveboy, who's my dad. He's an immigrant from Grenada. He came to this country to attend Howard University. And honestly, that is the story of so many of our immigrants, especially in this area. They came to go to Howard. Howard's the Mecca, and it was a big deal. My father came from a very small island. About 120 or so thousand people live on the island, and to send your child to school from a small island, it's a big deal. And so when they get there, there's a lot of expectation that they'll do well, that they'll excel, and then that they'll help out that next generation. And so those are the values that I grew up understanding. And it didn't matter that I hadn't seen my cousins who were back home at the time. It mattered that we were related in some way, and I cared about them. I wanted them to be successful too. My mother grew up in Washington, D.C. Her grandmother, or my grandmother, which is her mother, kind of raised her for the most part as a single parent. And my grandmother worked in people's homes. She was a housekeeper. She did not have a formal education after about 8th grade. And so this is a woman who was very independent, very financially independent. Even though she didn't make much, she saved her money, and she was very wise about her spending. And so she instilled in my mother a sense of independence, resilience, being able to take care of yourself, but still, caring for others. And my mother raised me that way too. She raised me to be independent. She raised me to be thoughtful. She raised me to care about the world. I remembered going to rallies with her when I was a child, very young, and I don't even remember all of the topics of those rallies, but it was all typically about some injustice that was going on and fighting against injustice and showing up. And the thing I remembered is that we would meet people of all different races coming from different countries, different parts of the world. And she taught me to always embrace people and find those commonalities. And I appreciate her for that, because as I have gotten older and being in public service, I don't look like everyone. I don't sound like everyone. I don't eat the same foods as everyone. But I do see everyone as human, and I try to connect with people on that human level. So that is the values I was raised with. My parents, my grandparents, that's who made me who I am today. And I am a pretty strong, independent leader because of my strong foundation.
Thank you for explaining kind of where your background tethers from. I myself am a humanitarian. I believe that as we work to impact the community collective, true success is defined by what doors we can open for others who
Yes.
may not be able to open them for yourselves. And we've seen that in your leadership as the state attorney. I want to kind of shift more into the governance piece, right? Because it's understanding that the county executive is a government role, and leadership within that type of role requires adaptation. And I want to understand kind of what is your vision for what your role will look like as county executive transitioning from the role of state's attorney.
Well, that's a very good question. So let me just say that we are in unprecedented times right now.
Yes, ma'am.
And when I assume this role, and I'm speaking it into existence,
Yeah.
county executive, the first thing I have to do is give people a sense of, uh, calm, because right now there's such turbulence going on. And in order for us to really make good, sound decisions, we have to come from a place of power, of understanding, of, we have to just come from a place of not chaos, which is what we see unfortunately around us.
Yes.
So you have to have have those who you are going to be representing have confidence in you. And so you do have to somewhat, kind of push back the noise and really focus on the goals. There's a lot that we can do here locally.
Mhm.
And we have to make sure that our residents understand that their government is not the federal government. The
Right.
federal government will impact what happens here because we have over 30,000 federal workers here. We have government contractors. We have government grant recipients here. So there will be, um, impacts. However, we are going to work hard with our governor, Governor Westmore, as well as our state legislature to ensure that we have emergency funding for those who may be impacted by what's happening at the federal level. We will also be focusing on taking care of those who are displaced
Mhm.
uh, through repositioning them, many of them in state and local governments, as well as helping them to, retool and retrain so that they can enter potentially the private sector. So there are uh, some issues, obviously, that we are going to have to face immediately.
Right.
So whoever's coming in now is not just coming in saying, okay, now I'm going to rework government. I'm going to set my budget priorities. No, those priorities are actually already going to be set by the acting county executive. Now we have to talk about, like, how do we ensure that our government dollars are being spent efficiently and effectively. Let's make sure that those projects that have been started under the prior administration actually we finish them.
Right.
This is not a time for ego to talk about what I'm going to do. It's really talking about how do we move forward. And I
Yes.
think that's going to be sort of the mindset that I have coming in.
That's fantastic. And that kind of that's one of the things that I think a lot of Prince George's County residents are looking for a change in the way that our leadership leads with their needs and their intentions and what their vision for their families looks like, rather than more leadership coming in with their own personal ambitions and intentions moving into this next iteration. I want to speak a little bit more about the budget, right?
Yeah,
I know you're well versed in this. You've done your research. Everybody knows the statistics. We all know there's a deficit within the state. We all know that federal dollars are looking a little bit different these days. Um, what is your plan, or what is your intention to work with the governor and with our state legislators and with our various representatives to understand, like, how do we close this gap? How do we keep things going? How do we keep the lights on despite what's happening in the White House?
absolutely. Well, let's talk about things we cannot do. We cannot raise property taxes because we will lose population. We've already lost residents to neighboring jurisdictions because our high property taxes. At the same time, we have high property taxes. We also are seeing a rise in things like utilities and groceries and basic needs. So we have to just say that up front. We are not going to raise property taxes. But what we can do is work with the legislature to look at other proposals. I think they're considering a proposal now to raise 500 million through putting a slight increase on sugary beverages. There may be other proposals. I think iGaming and other proposals that the legislature is considering now that raises revenues. But one of the best ways for us to raise revenues, honestly, is to invest in our small businesses.
Yes, ma'am.
I have to say that Prince George's County, and this is not to critique anyone, it's just to state facts. We don't utilize the services of our local businesses the way that we should. And
Right.
while I can't control what the federal government does, I can't really even control what the state government does, but I have a great partner there in Westmore.
Yeah.
I can absolutely control how we spend here in Prince George's County our tax dollars.
Mhm.
We have so many companies right here who are doing work in other jurisdictions, but somehow can't get in the door here in Prince George's County. That comes to an end under my leadership because when we spend, and I always say this, it is good business to do business with the businesses here in Prince George's
Right.
County.
Yes.
And the reason why isn't just because it's the right thing to do, but it's because we get the trickle down effect of every dollar spent. So if a business here located in Prince George's County grows, that means our business tax base grows, our income tax base grows, our employment tax base grows. Everything grows when we invest locally. In fact, those individuals who are going to do better because now their companies are growing, guess what? They're going to buy even bigger homes. So we've got the opportunity to get transfer and recordation fees off of purchases of new homes. And obviously, if you have a larger home, you're going to pay a little bit more in property tax. So everything grows when we invest locally. And I don't think that we've really truly adopted and embraced that concept in the
Mhm.
past, but that will absolutely and unapologetically be how my government grows the local economy.
That's fantastic. I think the small business owners are looking to the left and to the right for, okay, what happens to us next? What do those resources look like? What does this partnership with our government look like? And I think that that's a fantastic reach into what's happening within our community right now.
Absolutely.
Um, Leadership, I think, and you've demonstrated this in your roles and your years and tenures here within the county. It requires community engagement, and sometimes folks within the community might look at your title as state's attorney and look at your work within the criminal system and may not understand what that looks like from the background. So I want to kind of speak to those individuals now who might have a little bit of apprehension as far as your title as state's attorney translates into Prince George's County executive. How will you partner now with the community, with your state's attorney background, with your background within the legal space? How will that translate to your new role as Prince George's County executive dealing with our community members?
Well, let me just say, can I start a little bit, but even before I
Yes.
became a
Yes.
attorney?
Back.
So
Take
my
us back.
background is actually in primarily in real estate and development. So yes, I have been state's attorney for the past 6 years, and it has been honestly the joy of my life. I have really enjoyed managing the office, working with the community, and getting justice. So I love this job. But before that, I worked um, for county government. I actually ran the real estate department for our county government, where I did acquisitions, all the sales, as well as the leasing. Um, when I was council liaison, I actually worked to ensure that the county council would support bond financing for major projects like National Harbor, like Woodmore Town Center. And then when I left county government, I worked for the Anacostia Waterfront Corporation, which built the Southwest Waterfront in DC. And if you can see that very vibrant
Huge.
mixed use community that's going on down there, it was the first time I had ever uh, reviewed what's called slip licenses, and those are for the boats there in the harbor there on the Anacostia. So I was there from the ground level looking at how we were going to build this massive development, which is booming and thriving now. And then I also worked for Children's Hospital. And as a manager at Children's Hospital, I brought the outpatient center uh, that is now located at Woodmore Town Center to our county because I wanted to make sure that we located that facility in a place that was growing in our county. And the leadership at the hospital trusted me to make that decision. And I worked also to ensure that we were able to get a certificate of need so that we could offer some outpatient surgery also at that facility.
Wow. Wow.
So, so I just wanted to make sure that people understand that I have a diverse background, but they know me probably best right now as their state's attorney because I have been able to get justice on so many high profile cases. I have been able to get justice with so many cases they never knew about.
Right.
I'm in the community a lot. I have given people second chances, which I'm also proud of because the justice system is about holding people accountable, but it's also about compassion and mercy. I am a Christian. I just want to put that up front. And I believe that redemption is real, not because I say so, but because my God says so. And as a result, I have always operated from that mindset where, yes, I do believe, and I believe the Bible also says that we do have to hold those accountable. I mean, our criminal justice system is actually based on the principles of the Ten Commandments.
Mhm.
Um, Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not covet, thou shalt not bear false witness. I mean, all of these things, all of the criminal code is really based loosely in some respects on all of these basic principles. And so we can't just take those principles and say we're going to apply those and not apply the principles of redemption. And so that's how I look at my role in the justice system. As Lady Justice, you got to balance all of these things, and so I've been able to hold people accountable, get a lot of time for people who have committed very serious offenses, but I've also looked at people who have served their time, who have become different people, and we have over 80 who we have uh, brought back home very early. Some were juvenile lifers, some were had life sentences who were not juveniles at the time of the offense, but had life sentences, but had spent 20, 30 plus years in prison and were different people. And I was not afraid to say, let's give them a second chance. And I hired people who deserved a second chance in my office because I also believed it was important to lead by example. I can't ask a business or another agency to do something that I am not willing to do. And you know what? Initially, when I did that, there was some controversy. But guess what? Since then, other individuals who were similarly situated to the people who I have hired have gotten hired in county government and in the private sector. So I don't mind taking those hits if I know it's the right thing to do. And the results have been that we have people now working in county government who, yes, may have records, but they're absolutely committed to the goals and objectives of our county government and our quality employees of county government.
Yes, ma'am. That's fantastic. And your record reigns true. I'm a huge advocate for second and third chances and
Yes.
for bringing our re-emerging citizens back into the fold
Oh, I
actively.
like that re-emerging. I'm gonna use that, Kayla. Can I use that one? Re-emerging. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
All these terms and colloquialisms, they are people and they deserve seconds and third chances. So I'm certainly in alignment with your vision there, ma'am, for
Thank
sure.
you.
I want to ask you a question in tandem with what you said about accountability, right? Um, how will you hold leadership within our county accountable to their roles?
Yeah, I mean, look, we as county executive, I will be responsible for overseeing several departments and agencies and boards and commissions. But I'll also have to work collaboratively with other elected officials. And so, what that means is that as the county executive, I'm going to have to set the tone of collaborative leadership. I can't tell other elected officials how to do their jobs, but what I can do is create a vision that we can all buy into. And then we can collaboratively figure out how does their role, how does their title,
Mhm.
uh, how can they then best serve that vision? If you have a collaborative vision, then other people will, I think, uh, want to work towards similar goals. So I think as county executive, your job is to set the tone, be the cheerleader, be the coach, be the motivator, but also allow people to bring their own talents, their own thoughts to the table as well. You know, as county executive, I will be responsible for a host of departments and offices and boards and commissions, but I'll also be responsible for bringing the county leadership together. Now, I can't control other elected officials, but what I can do is set a vision and a tone of collaborative leadership, which is, I think, what is missing here in the county. Everyone kind of works in their own silos, and there's not this communication that needs to take place, even between our council and our county executive. But there are other elected leaders here who have a stake, have a say so, and honestly have a lot of good ideas and talents. And that's our state legislators, as well as our municipal officials. You know, about 30% of our county lives within a municipality. And so that's a pretty significant part of our population. And we need to work more collaboratively with our municipal leadership to make sure that they are successful too, and that they understand the vision of the county. We also need to know what their visions are, you know, too, because, you know, when you live within a municipality, yes, you have certain responsibilities, and there's certain roles that those municipalities have in terms of public safety and trash collection and things like that. But when it comes to development, they rely so heavily on the investments being made by the county government. So we have to collaborate more, unify more, have a shared vision that we can work towards. So that's what I'll bring to this role. And the good news is, I've done that in the past. You know, that's how I've always operated. I understand how to get things done, and I understand that you can't get it done alone. One of the things I learned in the legislature is that you have to negotiate with folks. You have to talk to people. You have to express your idea and your vision for whatever piece of legislation you're trying to move forward. Otherwise, guess what? You're going to get a no vote, right? So you have. So it forces you, in a sense, to be more collaborative in how in your style, and I think that's a good thing. So I think the legislature is a good training ground, honestly, for collaborative leadership. And I've had that experience now as state's attorney. I've been able to get a lot done without having sort of the power of the purse. The way I do it is by collaborating with the executive, with the council, with our governor. And our governor, Westmore, if I can't just brag on our governor, he is
Yes.
a really great leader, and he's very collaborative as well. And I can tell you, I've gone to him with ideas, and he's funded them, he's supported them. And, you know, as county executive, I don't have to have all the ideas, right? I want people to feel like they can come to me and put forward their ideas, their thoughts. And if I am in agreement, if we can come to some understanding, then I'll be in a position to help fund those ideas and make it happen. So, you know, I'm just excited. I'm ready to get started, but I got to finish this race though. But I really, I think I'll be really good at this job.
You will too, honestly. And I think that what you're saying as far as tapping into what the community already offers is what's key in this role. To whoever fills the seat within the county executive space, it's important to tap into the resources and the wealth
Yeah.
of what we already have within our community already. I have a unique question for you, and I just thought of this as you were talking. Okay,
Okay.
so the people know that I didn't prep State's Attorney Braveboy with this. But what are some things that you think that your constituents can do even now, right in this uncertain times? What are some things that we can do to better reach out to or partner with or share our ideas and needs with our local government? What can we do other than just sending emails or showing up to events? How can we really propel our voices forward in collaboration?
I think one of the things is just providing honestly written proposals, because sometimes I meet people and they have really great ideas and they're talking a mile a minute because they're trying to get their idea out. And it's a really great idea, but we hear a lot of great ideas. I need to understand what your vision is, how you're going to get there, what your capacity is, and so and how best we could partner with you. So I think having written proposals is really important. And then honestly, if you can collaborate with others, because there's so many people who want to do good things, the more joint ventures and partnerships we can develop in our county is, to me, the better. Just like as hopefully the next county executive, I won't have all of the great ideas and I can't do everything on my own. That's the same, I think, uh, frame of mind that our residents have to have. Look for those in your community who have similar ideas or goals, or if there are existing organizations, partner with them. There are a lot of startup nonprofits, which is nothing wrong with that. But there are a lot of folks who've been around for a while with a track record. And so we want to make sure that whatever we're funding, whatever we're doing actually is effective. So the best way, I think, for us to all contribute is to partner with one another and then come to the government with a real proposal that we can really begin to look at seriously.
Thank you for that. That's good for the people to know and to act on. Certainly. I want to ask you this as we're kind of looking towards the future, right? You've done so much along your career,
Hmm.
aspiring to this new role. You have so many ideas and so many things that you want to do. What do you want your legacy to look like?
You know what? I want uh, people to say uh, that the County Executive Brave Boy grew wealth here in Prince George's County, that we saw more millionaires and people who were able to grow their businesses, expand job opportunities, uh, that our tax base grew because our business and our commercial tax grew. That's what I really want my legacy to be. Because what I do know is that when our economy is doing better, when every part of our county sees hope and opportunity, that we'll see less crime, that we'll see greater achievement from our students. We'll see a better quality of life for everyone, including our super fabulous seniors who, in so many ways, are just cheering us on, hoping for us, because they've lived their lives and they're in their twilight years. And I had one of our wonderful community leaders from the central part of the county say, "I have something for you." And she gave me a contribution of $25.
Oh, wow.
And it meant so much to me because I know that she's on a fixed income. I know that she knows that I've known her forever and I'll always come out to her meetings and be supportive of the things they want to do. But she wanted me to know that she believed in me too. And so that meant a lot because there are these folks watching and hoping. And even if it's not going to apply to them, if it's going to apply to their children, their grandchildren, or people who they don't even know, they just want a better Prince George's County. And so I feel very obligated to those individuals to make a difference.
Thank you. And you have made a difference. And
Thank you.
I think people need to see this side of who Aisha Braveboy, the humanitarian, looks like and how she really cares about her community. So, as we close the interview, I just want to ask, from your perspective as Aisha Braveboy, the person, what would you say to residents who are just really afraid right now? They're fearful. They're trying to understand what their future is going to look like under this new administration. They want to have somebody that they can trust with their vote, trust with their money, trust with um, their their servanthood and with the service in their community. What is your last words to these individuals as we prepare to vote in the upcoming special election?
Um, that I'm just like you. I understand. I grew up here in this county. I went to Largo High School. I am rooted in this community. I've had struggles too. Um, Life hasn't been perfect for me. I've worked hard. I haven't always achieved everything I wanted, and I've had people help me too. And so I'm not going to look at people who are struggling as people who I don't understand. I've I've struggled myself at times. And so what you'll have in me is a leader who's going to look to help ease those struggles. That I will work every day to ensure that homes aren't lost, that lives aren't upended, that we have created an opportunity for people to reposition themselves in the workforce, to go out and strike out on their own if they want to become entrepreneurs. That I understand that it's going to take a multifaceted approach to address the issues that we're seeing ourselves in right now. But that I'm also someone who's going to be focused on improving the future, that we understand how important it is to get it right at the federal level, that we have 2 years when we could make a real difference in these midterm elections. So, in addition to the work I'll do at home, I'll be working at the national level to help elect people in Congress who will carry the values of Prince George's County with them. They may not represent the county, but they represent the values of our county. This is the first administration that I know of in my lifetime that absolutely believes, or at least the values seem to be, that not everyone should have access to the American dream. I've never seen that. I've never seen it articulated in the way that clearly it's being articulated now. And while we may have differences as Democrats, as Republicans, as conservatives, as moderates, there has always been this commonality that the American dream should apply to everyone. And if you work hard, you should be able to achieve it.
Right.
But
Right.
that absolutely is not the philosophy of this administration. And it is a little scary. But what we do know is that it's not American. This is not an American value. And so, what we do know is that we have to resist. That's why we're resisting, as you see, members of my legal community uh, resisting through our courts, and our judges being, in so many ways, our saving graces. We have a couple of years to get ourselves together, lick our wounds, and get this right. I do believe that we will see changes in a couple of years. And I absolutely believe that after 4 years of dealing with what is the Billionaires Boys Club, that the American people will have had enough, and we will come back to the center again and come up with leadership that's more reflective of the values of Americans. I'm not talking about Democrats or Republicans, I'm talking
Right.
about Americans. So, yes,
Thank you. Thank you for that. We
thank
need to hear that. And that's the type of leadership that we need right here in Prince George's County.
you.
For
Thank you.
sure. Thank you so much, State's Attorney Braveboy, for joining us on this show right here on Bowie TV. Our show is syndicated online, but it's also here in our local network here within the county. Folks have the opportunity to understand what you bring to the table as they step into the voting booth in the upcoming special election. Best of luck to you, and I can't wait to see what you're going to do next.
Appreciate it. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, thank you. Until next time, folks. Signing off. Thank you so much for joining me for another extraordinary conversation today on The Kayla Evans Show. I invite you to stay engaged with me on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Please follow me at The Kayla Evans Show on all social media and podcast platforms. More love, more life, more blessings. Until we meet again.